Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Finance and Accounting Show. And on this show, we always like to talk to entrepreneurial minded finance and accounting professionals because, there's something to be said about, knowing the technical side of accounting and finance. But there's another thing to be said about being able to combine that with effective business strategy. And today's guest does that amazingly. I saw a amazing review that someone left on Facebook. So I was like, you know what? I definitely have to connect with Lydia, so stay tuned for the episode.
Welcome to another episode of the Finance and the Accounting Show. This is the place to go for small business owners. If you're looking for a great way to understand the finance and the accounting side of your business, you're in the right place. So stay tuned and enjoy the episode.
So without further ado, I want to bring on my guest, Lydia Desnoyers. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, it is definitely, like I said, a pleasure to have you on because I remember just reading that review that I put on Facebook because it's something when, someone takes the time to leave a review on your page, but then this person actually put it in a group and they were just talking about all the great ways that you help them take their business to the next level. And I was just like, you know what? I need to connect with whoever this Lydia lady is.
Here I am. Yes, it was a great review, and I'm so grateful for it. And that she took her time to do that. I don't know if you had a chance to see my reply, but I made sure to give her credit for the work that she put in. I'm here to serve, I'm here to help, but I also, it's more effective when you actually do the work, right? So definitely it was a great review and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So we're gonna revisit that review and just the nature of your business in general. But before we do, tell us the audience a little bit about your background and who is Lydia?
Who is Lydia? I'm still trying to figure it out. I think by the time I figure it out, it'll be getting ready to go 6 feet underground. But but professionally, so where do I begin? I mean, I started my business like most CPAs, right? Doing the compliance work, doing tax work and accounting to keep businesses in compliance, right? Left the corporate environment, got an opportunity to buy someone's book of business, and it was great. My first tax season processed close to 500 tax returns. I mean, not a lot of people could say that in their first, year in business. Just always trying to stay ahead of the curve and providing value to my clients. Just kind of growing my firm and helping my clients grow, I began to see where the value really is, and it's in providing advisory services. So, I came from focusing on compliance work to doing more advisory work for my business clients and organizations. And in doing so, I recognized the challenges that I went through, and I started sharing that with my colleagues, other CPA friends, and the things that I did and the boundaries I had to set and the goals I set. And it started off with one of my friends who's a CPA was like, Lydia, can you teach me to do what you did? and that's how I kind of fell into this world of helping other CPAs step into that role of advisors and providing true value to their clients. So that's it in a nutshell.
Nice. I love it because, it's something that I commonly hear. I mean, even when I think about my own background, it's like, you start off from the compliance route. And one of the things that I would say that I've noticed is that a lot of people feel, or maybe by choice, they just stop with the compliance route. So what was it about the non-compliance related services and value that really started to get you more comfortable to say, hey, you know what, maybe I can do more than just compliance?
Right. So that's a very good question. And it's a combination of a few things. I always find with my life, there's always a few signs that point me into a direction. And it's like, okay, I hear you loud and clear now. So, the first thing was, again, as I mentioned, staying ahead of the curve, right? And so with technology, as much as we love it, we love the conveniences. For us as CPA professions, I think other businesses or business owners tend to conflate the value that they get from a CPA with the value that they get with the technologies that are out there. For example, TurboTax, QuickBooks. You know, you have people who are like, oh, you know, I'm not going to pay X amount to work with an accountant. I'll just get QuickBooks and do it myself. And I won't go into all the mistakes that we find as CPAs when it's time to do the taxes, right? That's a whole separate story. But, you know, I just realized that there is this this hurdle that we have to get over of trying to convince people, look, we bring more value than TurboTax. And then what happens is when, you know, you quote somebody your fee to do accounting work, and they're like, oh, no, forget it. I'll just go and do it on QuickBooks. But then they call you like, how do I do this on QuickBooks? It's like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. No, that's not how this works. So it was that of realizing that, you know, we can spend so much energy and resources on trying to convince people like, hey, look, no, we are more than just the QuickBooks, more than just a TurboTax. You know, when you're looking for strategy and planning ahead, you know, you can't go to TurboTax and say, hey, if I'm doing this next year, how do I plan accordingly? How do I prepare for my tax liability? And so when I realized that was the value, right? So you can go ahead and use TurboTax if you want. But as far as planning and strategy and being more forward looking, you can't get that from a TurboTax book or a QuickBooks, help desk or whatnot. You want to work with a professional, especially if you're serious about the growth of your business, right? And you believe in yourself and know that in order to get a return, you have to make an investment, right? And so once I recognized that and accepted that, then it became easier. So once I accepted and acknowledged the value I know I bring, it became easier to project that value. And so I have clients who will call me thinking all they need is accounting, right? Oh, I just need somebody to help me with my bookkeeping or whatever. And I go through a series of questions and ask, and by the end they realize, oh, I need a lot more than that. You're right. Let me work with you as an advisor, and so it was that. And then when I realized that with my clients who I was doing accounting for, I was providing advice, right? I was helping them plan ahead, but I wasn't being compensated properly for it, right? So here I am, like helping you, grow your business, increase your profits, and I'm still, not making what I need and still working crazy hours and not reaching my own goals. And so in making these adjustments and changes within my firm, I realized, okay, a lot of other firms need that, the CPA firms and other organizations. And so being able to help them on a holistic level, right? So not just focusing on accounting, but how do these numbers help you make decisions for your business as a whole, right? And I realized that's the value. That's where that's the difference between you just staying where you are, status quo, and you going to the next level. And so it's a combination of all these things of realizing the need, also realizing that I had that value that I can bring, and marrying the two and then taking it from there.
Awesome. I absolutely love it because, it's one of those things that I kind of think about a lot as I was kind of moving through my corporate career. One of the things that used to bother me, kind of probably similar to you, is when like talking to other professionals, other business owners, like, man, I can see how their work, especially like marketing professionals, like I can see how their work ties to the value that people, realize in the end. But it's like so many people looked at, accounting and finance as kind of more of a compliance back end thing. So, I mean, I'm curious for you is as you started to kind of, maneuver through that journey of like, hey, you started from compliance like most accountants, moving more to value based. Did you find that as you started to think more value based, that your clients and I guess the clients that you were serving, did they kind of go on that journey with you to start realizing like, hey, accounting and finance is more of a value add position when you have the right person?
Absolutely. I think let me take a step back and say that one of the things I always tell people is when you can find something that you're passionate about and good about and actually make profit off of it, that's like, for me, that's the ultimate life, right? And so for me, having a background in corporate where I was an internal audit and I did a lot of business process reviews, right? And in those business process reviews, when we came up with recommendations, we always assign a dollar value to it. Like here's the opportunity cost, or here's the what you're missing out on. Here's the additional revenue that you could be generating. And so taking that background, right, and using that to supplement the financial and the accounting stuff, I think that's where that value came in. And so, and that's why it's funny because I tell people that, yes, I am a CPA and I work really hard for those credentials and it's very valuable, but I'm actually, I market myself as a business advisor, right? And because, it's more than just the accounting. Yes, it's crucial, it's critical, and we can use that to make decisions. But, we're looking at your business processes as a whole. Are you working as efficiently as you can, as effectively as you can? And if there's any gaps or areas that can be improved, well, let's put a dollar amount to it. Let's assign a dollar amount to show you, and to monetize that, to show you that, hey, this is what you're missing out on. And so that's where the finances, are very valuable, right? It's being able to tie that to the overall business and looking at it in a very holistic way.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I always laugh when I talk to other accountants and other professionals and ask them like, hey, if you had to put a dollar value on the service you provide to your clients, like how much do you think is worth? And it's like, I'm surprised that most finance professionals or accountants that I talk to, it's like they have no way to quantify that. I'm just like, that's kind of what we do. Like,
exactly. For people who work with numbers all the time, the fact that we can't find a way to assign a number to that. Yeah. And and that's a really good point. And so how do you quantify the value, right? That's one of the things that I work on is like, yes, with the compliance work, it's very transactional, right? So it's like, okay, you pay me X amount for this tax return. There's this exchange, there's this transaction, right? So how do you assign value, or how do you assign a price to advisory work? Well, you have to look at it as the value that the person is receiving, the client is receiving, right? We hear of, I'm sure you've heard that anecdote of this, the guy, the plumber or whatever, like there's something broke and he came and just in 2 seconds, he hit a hammer somewhere and it's like he fixed, and then he charged X amount, whatever. And the person was like, well, you only spent 2 minutes. And he's like, yeah, but you paid for what I knew. You paid for the fact that it's fixed. You didn't pay for my 2 minutes. And so it's getting ourselves out of that mindset of people are paying for our time. Now, our time is very valuable. And in essence, at the end of the day, they kind of are paying for your time, right? But, with our level of experience, with our backgrounds, sitting for that gruesome CPA exam, right? All that is value. And it's like, yeah, it may take you 5 or 10 minutes to do something, but you're not charged. Your price is not based on how long it takes you. Your price is on how much you're saving that person, because that client would take hours probably to do what you can do in 5 minutes. So they're paying for those hours that you're saving them, as opposed to the few minutes that you put in. And so once we start to kind of shift that mindset, then we start to recognize the value we're providing is what we're saving them in hours. And that's just an example, right? So we're not, it's not that we put a price on, oh, I work X hours and my billable hour, my billable rate is X amount. It's what are we providing to this person? What value are they getting out of it? And that's how we're able to price our pricing model.
Gotcha. Now, for a lot of accountants, that's probably going to be a very dynamic shift in the way they think,
Yes.
because, we come from a world where people are like, well, what's your hourly rate? And I get that question a lot when people ask, what's the hourly rate? And it's one of those things that a lot of people have to make that shift. So when different CPA firms are working with you, it's like, in that process, are you helping them kind of navigate from, hey, just charging an hourly rate, or, and say, putting a price tag on your time, or putting a price tag on the value? It's like, does working with you involve them navigating that journey to changing that way they think?
Thank you so much for asking that question. Yes, exactly. It's I think what makes my course or my program very successful is, again, very holistic, right? So I work a lot of mindset work, right? Because that's a mindset shift, right? It's a transition from what we're accustomed to, what we've known for so many years. Some of us, who've been in business for many, many years, and that's what we're accustomed to. So I do a lot of work on mindset shifts, right? And then we go into the more technical step-by-step things that you would do in order to transition, step into that role as an advisor. So yes, that is one of the biggest challenges that us as CPAs have, right? Is that letting go that, and I bring it back to letting go of I'm a CPA, right? Because and again, not to devalue it's so valuable. So I really want to make sure I point out that being a CPA is very, very valuable, but it's until we can get to that point where being a CPA is synonymous with being an advisor. I think it's so important to make sure that we present ourselves as the advisors and the fractional or virtual CFOs, and stepping into that identity. And so yes, there's a lot of mindset work that goes into that of stepping into the identity, basically.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense, because I was telling someone that, it's like I went to undergrad, got an undergrad degree in business. I went to grad school, got a master's degree in accounting. And I was like, and worked for years in accounting and finance. But I'm like, it wasn't until I actually really started trying to build my own business that I started realizing how to step out of just the technical to really start grasping those things about strategy, and then also just looking at myself. So I was like, hey, how do I make the mental changes I need so that I can grow and be in a better position to help other clients? So I think that is amazing. So if people are interested in getting in touch with you and saying like, hey, you know what, I need to make some of those mental shifts in my business so that I can start, being more of a value provider and I can take my firm to the next level, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So the best way, if you're watching the video of this, you have my handle on there, so you can reach out to me on social media, or you can just go onto my website, www.DesCPA.com. It's DesCPA.com, and you can schedule an intro call. It's no obligation, nothing like that. I'm very, very low pressure. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not like, just sign up. I just want to hear your story. I want to hear your challenge. I want to hear your goals. And from there, we'll see if we're a good fit for each other. My course, obviously it works. It works. But if you're not ready for it, it's okay. I'm just here to share some information. I'm here to serve. And so that would be the best way, or you could just directly email info@DesCPA.com. Or they can reach out to you, Terrell, and then you can just So yeah, Lydia Desnoyers, just Google, whatever. Sky's the limit. If you really want this, you know how to find me.
I love it. And then speaking of, like I said, just the value that you deliver, I want to go back to, like I said, what started the connection between you and I was the review. And I'm curious as to, how did that person end up getting in touch with you to then start working with you and get the amazing results that they bragged about in their post?
Somebody different actually posted a question of anybody have resources or can help with mentorship on how to become a CFO and advisor. And I literally just talked. I was like, hey, I coach CPAs on becoming advisors. If you're interested, let me know. Again, very low pressure, right? I'm not even sure if I put like my website or something. I think I just was like, hopefully they reply. And, and that person reached out. We had a great conversation. Like I said, we did an intro call, really took the time to listen to what her challenges and stuff were. And I was like, yeah, I can definitely help you. I've been there, done that, I can relate. I can help you navigate through this. And then we worked together, and I'm very big on confidentiality, but because she posted, about, her experience, so I can speak about it freely. But, she mentioned that she was able to, close on her first 5-figure client. But what she didn't mention, it was literally the day after our last session together. So it was, it was a really, really quick, result that she was able to get. And I pray that everyone can get the same result, I don't offer guarantees, but, it works, obviously. But it happened that quickly. And then again, it's because, she put in the effort, she put in the work, the time commitment to work with me, and and be open to making some very drastic, uncomfortable changes. I mean, it could be very uncomfortable. Again, we're CPAs, we're analytical, black and white. This is what I was told, this is what I learned, this is what I've been doing for so many years. So, being able to get her out of that comfort level, she was ready for it. She was over the past, she recognized that doing things the way she had been doing it no longer served her. And so that was her motivation and stuff. So again, we work on that too, right? Like let's let go of those things that don't serve us. And so that's how she was able to be successful. So that's how she found me on that same group. And so it's only fitting that she turned around and provided that review on there. So it was really good. It was really nice.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I mean, and that's one of the things that I really loved when you and I had a conversation even before filming this interview of just, when we talked about different things where there were things you brought up that I'm just like, man, I so resonate well, because I remember even in my own business where, like I said, when I first started, I mean, I was struggling to get clients, and it was after making some mindset shifts when I closed my first like $36,000 contract. And I was like, man, my technical skills didn't change, but the mindset and the way that I thought about and the way that I approached this, that made the world of the difference.
Yeah.
So when you and I talked, I was just like, yeah, I definitely love what you're doing with helping other firms do that. So that is amazing.
Absolutely. Even with my actual advisory clients and my CPA coaching clients, when we go through these mindset things, they always come back. They said, I didn't get any pushback from the client, and it's like, yeah, you were the only one holding yourself back. And so being able to work on that, the mind shift, the mindset shift, and that's why that's one of the first things I work on. Because the technical stuff, we're smart. I mean, we passed the CPA exam. We are smart people, right? And so it's not that we don't get it, right? But we hold ourselves back. And so that's why for me, it's really, really important to work on that mindset shift before we get into the technical stuff. So it's one of the parts I really, really enjoy. And by the time we get to the technical stuff, it's like people are ready. They're like, oh yeah, I get now that my mind, and I've gotten that feedback too. Like, I probably would never saw it that way had we not worked on that mindset and stuff. So absolutely, again, it starts with us recognizing our own value before we can do, and that's in every area of your life, right? Relationships, all that stuff. Before anybody else can see your value, you have to see your value yourself. And so we definitely spend a lot of time on that and recognizing where that value comes from.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, Lydia, before we wrap up, one of the questions that I really love asking, every guest that comes on, and you've given us a ton of value. So usually I ask for two. So I'm just going to ask for one, because what you just said was amazing. It's what's one final piece of advice or tip that you would leave with the listeners?
Let it go. Let go of the past, right? I feel when I work on this mindset shift, some of the comments I get is like, man, I can't believe I did that. Or man, damn, I suck. And I'm like, that doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your clients. It doesn't serve your future. It doesn't serve anyone. So let go, show yourself grace, forgive yourself, because by the time you're working with me, that means you've already made a step, right? So I always say, let go of the past, forgive yourself for any mistakes or things that you didn't know. You did the best you can, and let's move forward. That's one. The other one is, it actually stems from one of my favorite quotes is, gratitude makes everything we have more than enough, right? And so for me, saying thank you, being grateful, is something that is very valuable in every area of my life. I mean, even when I get a no from a client, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for sharing your story with me. It's just, gratitude. I mean, has anybody ever, unless you're being sarcastic, where it's like, thank you. Have you ever seen anybody mad saying thank you? Unless it's someone being sarcastic, right? But, you can't be mad saying thank you. You can't, you're telling the universe, thank you. I want more of this. I want more of this. I want more of this. So those are my two things that I would leave everybody with.
Awesome. Well, Lydia, thank you so much for being an amazing guest on the show. And thank you for all of your insight. It's definitely been a pleasure. And before we wrap up, can you repeat your website one more time for those that are listening, those that are viewing?
Sure. A website is www.DesCPA.com. It's DesCPA.com.
Awesome. I love it. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Finance and Accounting Show. If you like what you heard, don't be selfish. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and then share this with a friend, because you know a business owner that could definitely use this insight. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and turn on the notification bell so you get all the updates when we release a new episode.
Let it go. Let go of the past, right? I feel when I work on this mindset shift, some of the comments I get is like, man, I can't believe I did that. Or man, damn, I suck. And I'm like, that doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your clients. It doesn't serve your future. It doesn't serve anyone. So let go. Show yourself grace. Forgive yourself, because by the time you're working with me, that means you've already made a step, right? So I always say, let go of the past, forgive yourself for any mistakes or things that you didn't know. You did the best you can, and let's move forward. That's one. The other one is, it actually stems from one of my favorite quotes is, gratitude makes everything we have more than enough, right? And so for me, saying thank you, being grateful, is something that is very valuable in every area of my life.
To watch the rest of the episode, go ahead and click the link in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so we can let you know the next time an amazing episode comes up. And if you love what we're doing at the Business Talk Library, consider leaving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. It gives us more visibility and allows us to get this podcast to more amazing people.